Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a prophecy so epic and so utterly final, it makes all those end-of-the-world movies look like a picnic. We're talking about Ragnarök, the disturbing prophecies of the Norse god's ultimate demise. This isn't just about a big battle, it's about a cosmic clock winding down, a series of unavoidable events that lead to a cold, dark, fiery end for just about everyone. So, yeah, you probably wouldn't survive this one, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's why we're just here to listen. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is, and we'll start this journey together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing on the edge of a world of deep, silent fjords and towering ice-sheathed mountains. The air is so cold it feels brittle, and the only sound is the distant, mournful cry of an eagle circling high above. You're not here by choice. You've been pulled into the ether, a passive observer as the first, subtle tremors of the end times begin to ripple through the 9 realms. There's a stillness, a quiet dread that hangs in the air, a sense that something enormous and ancient is about to stir. The prophecy has been whispered for ages, a tale of a long, cold winter, a bitter time called Fimbulvetr, which serves as the final warning. The sun and moon have not yet been devoured, but their light feels weaker, a pale anemic glow that struggles to pierce the perpetual grey sky. The snow is relentless, falling in heavy, wet flakes that seem to carry a certain sorrow. You can almost feel the gods themselves, up in Asgard, growing restless. The All-Father, Odin, paces his great hall, his single eye scanning the horizon for signs he both dreads and expects. The other gods, less burdened by prescience, are still feeling the change. Their halls are quieter, their feasts less joyous. The laughter is a little more forced, the drinking horns a little less full. This isn't a sudden storm, it's a slow, creeping rot, a spiritual decay that has begun to seep into the very foundations of the cosmos. The world tree, Yggdrasil, groans in the silent cold, its branches heavy with hoarfrost. A casual glance might not reveal the cracks, but if you listen closely, you can hear a faint groaning sound, like old wood under too much pressure. The frost giants of Jotunheim are stirring, their massive forms shaking the mountains as they prepare for the long-awaited war. Their hatred for the gods of Asgard is as old as time itself, and now, fueled by the encroaching cold and the whispers of prophecy, it reaches a fever pitch. You see their breath, great plumes of mist in the frigid air, as they sharpen enormous axes and polish shields the size of houses. Their leader, the fearsome Surtr, waits in Muspelheim, the land of fire, his flaming sword ready to cut the world in two. It's a strange paradox, fire and ice, both instruments of destruction, waiting for their moment to strike. The frost giants crave the cold, but Surtr craves the final conflagration that will wipe everything clean. It's a beautiful, terrible symmetry, the ultimate opposing forces united by a common goal, the end. But the first major player in this cosmic tragedy isn't a giant or a god, it's a serpent. One so massive it coils around the entire world. Its name is Jormungandr, the Midgard Serpent. For centuries, it has slept in the depths of the ocean, a silent guardian, a prisoner of its own size. Its awakening is a subtle thing, not a roar or a seismic event, but a slow, gradual uncoiling. You are drifting above the roiling seas, and you can feel the changes in the water. The tides are becoming erratic, the waves more violent, crashing against the shores with a force that seems to defy nature. The ocean itself seems sick, a churning, angry blue. The sailors of Midgard, the human world, are becoming desperate. Their fishing boats are being tossed about like toys, and strange, unsettling creatures are being washed up on the beaches, fish with scales of black iron, crabs with claws that glow with an eerie, phosphorescent light. You hover over the depths, and you feel it a slow, immense shudder. It's not an earthquake, it's the Midgard Serpent waking up. Its scales, vast and green-black, begin to move, rubbing against the ocean floor, causing tremors that shake the foundations of the land. Its enormous head, the size of a small mountain, slowly rises from the abyssal darkness, its twin eyes glowing with a malevolent, ancient intelligence, searching the surface world. This isn't the kind of waking up you do in the morning. This is the slow, deliberate movement of something that has been sleeping for eons, something filled with a purpose it can't forget. Jormungandr's awakening isn't just a physical event, it's a metaphysical one. It's a tear in the fabric of reality, a signal that the time of legends has returned, and not in a good way. There's a subtle, but important detail here that historians still debate. Some sagas suggest that Jormungandr's awakening isn't just about its movement, but about its poison. They argue that the very act of its uncoiling releases a venom into the sea and air, a subtle, creeping poison that infects everything it touches, including the minds of men and gods. They say this is why the world descends into moral chaos and conflict before the final battle. That it's not just a matter of prophetic inevitability, but of a literal, toxic madness seeping into the world. It's an interesting thought. Right, that the end of the world could be a slow poisoning rather than a sudden smash. It's a bit like a cosmic game of Jenga, where someone has already started pulling out the wrong blocks. You feel a familiar chill. No, not the cold of Fimbulvetr. It's something deeper, a memory of a time you shouldn't have been a part of. The gods' attempts to bind Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, and the role Loki played in those events. You remember the wolf's terrible strength, the way it snapped at the gods, and the lengths they had to go to imprison it, that feeling of foreboding, of a fate sealed by ancient mistakes, is back. It hangs in the air, thick and heavy. The past is not a foreign country, it is an inexorable force, pulling the present towards a predetermined conclusion. The Midgard Serpent, for all its might, is still just the first domino. Its awakening will cause massive waves that crash against the shores of Midgard, destroying cities and flooding lands. These aren't just natural disasters, they're acts of aggression, the first salvos in a war that has been foretold for 1,000 years. You see entire coastlines disappear beneath the waves, and you feel the terror of the people, the desperate prayers to gods who are too busy preparing for their own end to hear them. It's a cruel irony. The gods' prophesied doom is already causing the doom of mortals, and in this chaos, a peculiar sound begins to echo through the realms. It's a high-pitched, metallic ringing, a sound that resonates not in your ears but in your bones. It's the sound of the chains of the giant wolf, Fenrir, beginning to strain. The gods are growing more and more certain that Ragnarök is upon them. Odin sends his ravens, Hugin and Munin, out into the world more often, seeking news, but their reports are filled with despair. The world is changing, the sun feels distant, the moon is a thin, weak crescent. The wolves, Skull and Hati, are gaining on them. They're getting closer. This is a crucial moment, a moment of cosmic transition. So, as you watch the colossal form of the Midgard Serpent rise from the deep, creating tidal waves that scour the land, you get a sense of the scale of this coming conflict. This is not a war for a throne or a kingdom. It is a war for existence itself. And it all begins with this slow, terrifying, inevitable awakening. The serpent's poison is already seeping into the air, into the minds of men, and into the very heart of the cosmos. The end, it seems, is not coming. It has already begun. You're floating in the inky blackness now, a witness to the unravelling of the celestial tapestry, the immense, shuddering movement of Jormungandr, the Midgard Serpent, in the deep oceans of Midgard has caused a ripple effect across the cosmos. It's a fundamental disturbance, a cosmic bell tolling for the beginning of the end. The tremors from its uncoiling have reached not just the shores of the mortal realm, but the very heavens themselves. You can feel a new, profound cold in the air, a different kind of chill than the one from Fimbulvetr. This cold isn't from the frost, it's from the diminishing light of the sun and moon. The sky, once a brilliant, hopeful canvas of blue and white, has grown pale and sickly. It's as if the world is fading, its colours draining away. You peer up into the dimming sky and see them. They are the wolves, Skull and Hati, two shadows of immense, predatory hunger. They are the children of the giantess Hagal, and their existence has been a long, relentless chase for all of time. They have pursued the sun, Sol, and the moon, Mani, across the heavens, a cosmic game of cat and mouse that has been the very rhythm of the universe. The gods built a fence for them, a series of iron and celestial bronze barricades in the sky to keep them from catching their prey. But now, with the world shaking and the ancient prophecies stirring, those fences are beginning to crumble. You can see Kul, the wolf who chases the sun, its shadow now much larger than the light it pursues. Its eyes burn with a terrible, consuming fire, and its breath is a visible cloud of vapour in the thin, cold air of the upper atmosphere. The sun, Sol, is not a star like her own, but a goddess driving a chariot. She's beautiful, desperate and terrified. You can feel her fear from here, a shivering dread that radiates through her light. Her horses, Arvakur and Alsvidr, are struggling, their movements becoming more frantic and less graceful. The prophecy says that they will eventually falter, and today, you can see the first signs of their exhaustion. The chase is no longer a slow, stately procession. It is a desperate, heart-pounding race. The sky flickers and darkens as Skull gets closer. It's gaping more inches away from Sol's shining chariot. A small joke to lighten the mood. It's a good thing they don't have a cosmic DMV up there. The paperwork for this kind of collision would be a nightmare, but this is no laughing matter. This is the moment when the very source of warmth and life is about to be extinguished. You feel a pang of dread. Not for yourself, you are just a witness, but for the world you're watching. The prophecy says that the sun and moon will be devoured, but it doesn't say how painful the process will be. As Skull's jaws snap closer, the light from Sol's chariot weakens, and a strange, cold greyness begins to descend upon the world below. It's not the darkness of night, but a pallid, lifeless twilight that feels wrong. It's a physical darkness that also has a spiritual dimension, a tangible despair that seems to infect the very air. On Midgard, the crops are beginning to fail, the animals are becoming restless, and the humans are starting to panic. They don't know what's happening, but they can feel the change in the light, the lack of warmth, the pervasive sense of dread. Meanwhile, Hati, the wolf that chases the moon, is also closing in on its prey. The moon, Mani, is a calmer, more serene figure than his sister, but you can see the subtle fear in his eyes. He is also driving a chariot, but his horses are not as fast as Sol's. Hati is not as fiery as Skull. His power is more subtle, a creeping, devouring cold. He brings with him the frigid darkness of space, the void between the worlds. The moon's light, which has always been a gentle counterpoint to the sun's fiery blaze, is now struggling to shine. As Hati closes in, the stars begin to wink out, one by one, swallowed by the encroaching shadow. There's a small detail that's often overlooked in the sagas, a strange and almost poetic touch. Historians still debate whether Kul and Hati are simply wolves, or if they are in some way reflections of human ambition and greed, a physical manifestation of the insatiable hunger for power. The argument goes that their chasing of the sun and moon is a metaphor for how human desires, left unchecked, can ultimately consume the very things that give life and light to the world. It's a fascinating thought. Isn't it that our own shortcomings might be mirrored in the cosmos itself, a silent prophecy of our own making? You watch as Skuld finally lunges, its immense jaws closing around Sol's chariot. The world is plunged into darkness, not a gradual dimming, but an instant, terrifying eclipse. The sun is gone. You can't see the wolf devouring it, but you can feel it. The immense, physical act of a celestial body being consumed. A wave of profound cold rushes over you, the warmth and life of the sun being snuffed out in an instant. The plants of Midgard shrivel, the rivers freeze, and the air becomes thin and difficult to breathe. The cold is a living thing, a predatory force that seems to enjoy its work. The humans of Midgard are plunged into a state of panic and despair. In the pitch blackness, their cities become silent. Their fires are meagre, fleeting comfort. They have no way of knowing that this is not a temporary eclipse, but a permanent one. You can see their small, frantic movements below, the little sparks of their torches and lanterns winking out one by one as the cold takes its toll. It's a quiet, pathetic end for so many. Not in the fury of battle, but in the slow, agonizing grip of cold and darkness. A fun, light-hearted observation their last moments are probably spent thinking. I really should have invested in a better parka. Hati, seeing his brother's success, redoubles his efforts. He is not far behind. You can see his breath, an icy cloud that freezes the very starlight. Mani, the moon, has no chance. He puts up a valiant but futile struggle, his light a tiny, flickering beacon against the immense, encroaching darkness of the wolf. And then, he too is gone, swallowed in a great, silent gulp. The last stars wink out, leaving only the perpetual, freezing blackness of the cosmos. With both the sun and moon gone, the cosmos is plunged into a state of perpetual darkness. This isn't just an absence of light, it's a palpable, spiritual darkness that seems to press down on everything, a heavy, suffocating blanket of despair. The gods in Asgard are now fully aware of their predicament. They see the darkness, they feel the cold, and they know the prophecies are coming true. This is the point of no return. The end is not a possibility anymore, it is an inevitability. The second part of the prophecy is complete. The sun and moon are devoured, and the world is plunged into an eternal, freezing night. This is the official start of the end, the point where all hope is lost. The frost giants are ecstatic. Their cold, icy world has finally conquered the warmth and light of the gods. They howl their terrible war cries into the darkness, a sound that echoes off the now frozen mountains. The stage is set. The final, terrible acts of Ragnarök are now just a matter of time. The darkness is absolute now, a thick, suffocating blanket that has fallen over the cosmos. The warmth of Sol and the gentle glow of Mani are no more, leaving a void where light and comfort once were. You feel a profound, bone-deep cold, not just from the loss of the sun's heat, but from the spiritual emptiness that has settled in. This is the new reality, a world plunged into the eternal night of Fimbulvetr. The air is still, the wind a ghost of what it once was, and the only sound is the creaking and groaning of a world in its death throes. You drift through this suffocating darkness, and you can sense a shift in the cosmic balance. The gods in Asgard are quiet, their great halls lit by sputtering torches that cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. The feasting has stopped, the singing has ceased. There is only a grim, terrible silence, the silence of men or gods waiting for an inevitable end. Even the mighty Thor, the god of thunder, is still. His hammer Mjolnir held loosely in his hand, its power a grim and useless thing in a world without light. But there is a new sound, a sound that is both terrible and familiar. It's a low, grinding noise, a deep rumble that resonates not just in your ears, but in the very fabric of reality. It's the sound of ancient chains beginning to strain under immense pressure. You feel a powerful surge of energy, a raw, untamed power that has been dormant for eons. It's the power of the wolf, of Fenrir, the monstrous son of Loki, and the giantess Angerboda. You remember the story of Fenrir. You remember how the gods, fearing his immense and growing strength, tried to bind him. They tried with chains of iron and steel, but he broke them all with a laugh. Finally, they commissioned the dwarves to forge a chain of impossibly light and strong materials. The chain was called Gleipnir, and it was made from things that no longer exist: the sound of a cat's footfall, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. It was a chain of pure magic and impossibility, and it held the wolf, but not without a price. The god Tyr, the bravest of them all, had to sacrifice his hand, placing it in the wolf's mouth as a sign of good faith. When Fenrir realised he had been tricked, he bit Tyr's hand clean off. Now, you're witnessing the terrible consequence of that act, the cold and darkness of Fimbulvetr, the uncoiling of Jormungandr, and the general decay of the cosmos has begun to weaken the magical bindings of Gleipnir. The chain is not made of metal, but of esoteric, impossible things, and those things are now starting to come undone. You hear the snapping sound of a cat's footfall, the gentle rustle of a woman's beard, the slow crumbling of mountain roots. The chain is not breaking with a loud clang, but with a series of quiet, almost mournful sounds, each one a death knell for the gods. You see Fenrir in his prison, deep within a forgotten realm. His form is immense, his fur a matted black, and his eyes burn with a terrible, ancient rage. The chain Gleipnir, thin as a ribbon, is wrapped around him, and it's glowing with a faint, dying light. He is not struggling now, he is just waiting. He has felt the change, the weakening of the world. He has heard the cries of the frost giants and the terrible echoes of Jormungandr's movement. He knows his time has come. There's a small detail that historians still debate. Was Fenrir's rage and hatred for the gods a result of his nature, or a consequence of his imprisonment? Some scholars argue that the gods' fear and treachery in binding him created the very monster they feared, that they were responsible for their own destruction. It's a classic chicken and egg situation. Isn't it? Did the prophecy predict the events, or did the actions of the gods fulfill the prophecy? A fun, light-hearted thought maybe if they'd just given him a really big bone to chew on. None of this would be happening. As you watch, a final, terrible sound echoes through the darkness. It's a high-pitched metallic shriek, the sound of the chain Gleipnir finally snapping. It doesn't break into pieces, it simply unravels. Dissolving into its constituent parts a puff of air, a whisper, a shadow. The wolf is free. Fenrir rises, his body so vast that it seems to fill the entire realm. He lets out a terrible earth-shaking howl, a sound that is a mixture of relief, triumph, and pure, unadulterated rage. This is no longer just a wolf. He is a force of nature, a living engine of destruction. His jaws are wide open, so wide that the upper jaw touches the sky and the lower jaw scrapes the ground. He is filled with an insatiable hunger, a cosmic appetite that can only be sated by the flesh of the gods. His escape is a sign that cannot be ignored. The gods in Asgard feel the tremor, hear the distant, terrifying howl. Odin, with his single eye, knows what this means. He knows that his time is running out. He knows that he has a final, terrible destiny to face, and he knows that the one who will kill him has been freed. The wolf's release is the final, undeniable proof that the end has come. The great, final battle of Ragnarök is not a future event. It is an event that is beginning right now, in this moment. The release of Fenrir is also a signal to another powerful and malevolent force from the depths of the underworld, the land of the dead. Loki, the father of the wolf, begins to stir. He has been a prisoner of the gods for his role in the death of Baldur, bound with the intestines of his own son. his face tormented by the dripping venom of a serpent. But the breaking of Gleipnir, the final sign that the gods are losing their grip on reality, gives him the strength to break his own chains. The poison of the serpent, which has been torturing him for ages, is now a source of power, a cold, bitter fuel for his vengeance. This is the point of no return. The world is plunged into darkness. The wolf is free, and the god of mischief is about to get his revenge. The cosmic stage is set for the final, bloody confrontation. The darkness is now absolute. A vast suffocating void where the sun and moon once shone. You're adrift in a cold and empty space, the silence broken only by the distant, echoing howl of the freed wolf, Fenrir. The world is a ghost of what it once was, a frozen, lightless husk, slowly drifting towards its final, inevitable end. But even in this profound emptiness, there is a new, terrible presence, a profound bitter cold that seeps into your very bones, a kind of hatred so pure and ancient it makes the cold of Fimbulvetr feel like a warm summer breeze. This is the cold of Loki, the trickster god, who has been chained and tormented in a forgotten cave since the death of Balder. You remember the gruesome details of his punishment. He was bound to 3 stones with the entrails of his own son, and a venomous serpent was placed above his head, its poison dripping onto his face. His wife, Sigyn, sat by his side, holding a bowl to catch the venom, but every time she had to empty it. A few drops would hit him, causing him to writhe in agony. His struggles were so violent they caused earthquakes in the mortal world. But now, as you watch, his suffering is coming to an end. The cracking of the magical chain Gleipnir, the final sign of the world's unravelling, has given him the strength to break free. The venom that has been his torment for so long is now a source of fuel, a bitter, corrosive poison that has been slowly transforming him. It's no longer just a physical pain, it's a spiritual one, a venomous hatred for the gods who chained him, a burning, all-consuming desire for vengeance. You see him rise from his chains, his body gaunt and pale, his eyes burning with a cold. Malevolent light. The serpent's venom has not killed him, it has made him stronger, more dangerous, more vengeful. It has poisoned his very soul. He is no longer just a trickster. He is a force of nature, a living embodiment of chaos and destruction. He lets out a silent, terrifying laugh, a laugh that echoes in your mind, a sound of pure, unadulterated madness. There's a subtle and interesting detail here that scholars have long debated. Was Loki's vengeance simply a reaction to his punishment? Or was it the inevitable culmination of his chaotic nature? Some historians argue that his imprisonment was merely the catalyst, that his desire to see the gods fall was always there, simmering beneath the surface. His time in chains simply gave him the time to perfect his plans, to let his hatred fester and grow into something truly monstrous. Loki's release is not just a personal victory, it's a strategic one. He is the master of lies and deception, and he knows exactly where to find the other outcasts and monsters of the 9 realms. He knows that the gods in Asgard are preparing for a battle, but he also knows that they are overconfident, blinded by their own sense of invincibility. He knows their weaknesses, their fears, and their secrets. He is the perfect general for the army of chaos. You feel a profound sense of dread as you watch him move through the darkness. He is not alone. He goes to the land of the dead, to the realm of his own daughter, Hell, a place of silent suffering and profound emptiness. There, he finds the dead, the souls of the dishonoured and the cowards, the ones who did not die in battle. They are an immense and silent army, their faces pale and their eyes empty. They are called the hosts of Hell, and they are loyal to no one but her. But with Loki as their general, they are a terrifying force. He promises them revenge, a chance to get back at the living, a chance to finally feel something again. Even if that something is the cold thrill of battle, he leads them to a great ship, a monstrous vessel made entirely of the fingernails and toenails of the dead. Its name is Naglfar, and it is a ship of pure decay and corruption. It is an image of profound horror, a floating testament to the inevitable end of all things. As Loki and his army of the dead prepare to sail on this monstrous ship, the cosmos begins to unravel in other ways. The ancient tree Yggdrasil, which connects the 9 realms, groans and shudders. Its roots, which have held the worlds together for so long, are beginning to rot. The world serpent's thrashing has also brought a flood of poisonous waters. It's a symbolic as well as a literal event, a sign that the very foundation of reality is crumbling. But the final and most terrifying sign of all is not a sound or a sight, but a feeling of profound unease, a sense of something ancient and terrible awakening. It's a feeling that resonates in your very soul, a sound that is not heard but felt, a low rumbling horn that calls to the very end of the universe. And so, as you watch Loki, the master of mischief, lead his silent army of the dead onto a ship made of human nails, you know that the final act of this cosmic tragedy is about to begin. The time of prophecies is over. The time of battle is upon you. You're standing on a desolate plain now, a place of frozen earth and dead, skeletal trees that claw at the perpetual black sky. The ground beneath your feet is cracked and brittle, the remnants of a world that has been torn apart by prophecy and cosmic decay. The howling of Fenrir has become a constant, terrifying backdrop, and the bitter cold of Loki's vengeance hangs in the air like a shroud. This is Vigrider, the plain where the final battle is to be fought, and it is a place of absolute and profound emptiness. But it is not empty for long. You feel a new presence, a new sound. A sound that is both a call to arms and a mournful farewell. It is the sound of a horn, a single, piercing note that echoes through the 9 realms, a sound so powerful it shatters the silence and makes the very stars tremble. This is the horn of Heimdall, the god who guards the rainbow bridge to Asgard. Its name is Gjallarhorn, and its call is a call to war, a final, desperate summons to the gods to prepare for their last stand. You can almost see Heimdall himself, standing on the edge of the Bifrost, his face grim and his eyes filled with a terrible sorrow. He has seen the prophecies unfold, has watched the sun and moon fall, has felt the trembling of the world tree, and has heard the howl of the wolf. He has been the eternal watchman, and now his watch is over. The time for the waiting has ended. The time for action has begun. The sound of Gjallarhorn is a call to all the gods, a signal that the end is not just coming, but has arrived. Odin, the All-Father, hears it from his great hall in Asgard. He rises from his throne, his single eye filled with a grim determination. He knows his destiny, a prophecy of a terrible end at the jaws of Fenrir, but he will not go down without a fight. He puts on his golden helmet and takes up his spear, Gungnir, and prepares to lead the gods to their final battle. Thor, the god of thunder, hears the horn as he prepares for his own final duel against the Midgard Serpent. His eyes burn with a rage that is both personal and cosmic. He has fought the serpent before, in a moment of near victory that was thwarted by the giant Hymir. Now, he will finally get his revenge, a revenge that will also be his death. He grasps his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, a weapon of unparalleled power, and prepares for the battle to come. A small, slightly silly observation. The gods probably wish they'd invented noise-cancelling headphones for this. It's a lot of loud horns and howling. The other gods too hear the call. Freya, the god of fertility and peace, and the one who gave away his magical sword to win the hand of the giantess Gerda, now goes to battle with a simple stag's horn, a weapon that is beautiful but ultimately useless against the forces of chaos. His is a death of irony and tragic beauty, the god of life falling in a battle for the end of all things. The goddess Freya, the goddess of love and beauty, also prepares for battle, her heart filled with a terrible sorrow for her fallen kin. There is a minor but important detail that historians still debate about Heimdall and the horn. Some sagas suggest that the horn's call is not just a call to war, but a final act of creation, a sound that will resonate through the new world that will emerge from the ashes of Ragnarök. It's an interesting thought. Right, that the very sound that signals the end also contains the seed of a new beginning. As the gods assemble on the field of Vigridr, you see a terrible sight. From the east, a great army marches. It is a terrible host of frost giants. Their bodies immense and their skin a cold, stony grey. They are led by their king, the fearsome Surtur, who carries a sword of pure fire, a blade so bright it casts dancing, fiery shadows on the perpetual darkness. From the north, the ship of the dead, Naglfar, sails on the rising, poisonous tides of the Midgard Serpent. Its deck is crowded with the silent, pale hosts of hell. And at the helm stands Loki, his eyes burning with a cold, vengeful light, and in the centre of it all, waiting on the desolate plain, are the gods of Asgard, a small, courageous band of warriors against an impossible tide of monsters and chaos. The air is thick with tension, with the unspoken knowledge that this is not a battle that can be won. It is a battle that must be fought, a final, desperate act of defiance against a fate that has been sealed since the beginning of time. This is not a story of heroism and victory, it is a story of courage and sacrifice, of a final, magnificent act of defiance, and the sound of Heimdall's horn, the final call to war, is the official start of the end. The air on the plain of Vigridr is thick with a terrible, silent anticipation. You are a silent observer, a ghost on a battlefield of gods and monsters. The sound of Heimdall's horn, the Gjallarhorn, has faded, but its echo still reverberates in your soul. The darkness is a living thing, a palpable pressure that seems to be pushing the two sides together. On one side stand the gods of Asgard, a small but formidable host of warriors, their armour gleaming with a faint, otherworldly light. On the other side, an impossible tide of chaos and destruction gathers, a monstrous army that has been waiting for this moment since the dawn of time. From the east, a great army of frost giants marches. Their immense bodies, made of frozen rock and ice, shake the very ground with every step. Their faces are a mask of ancient hatred, their eyes glowing with a cold, malevolent light. They are led by their king, Surtur, who carries a flaming sword that crackles with an unholy fire. His body is wreathed in flames, a living paradox of a fire and ice that promises to burn the world to ashes. His voice is a low, rumbling sound, a sound of profound and ancient hatred for the gods who have held him at bay for so long. From the north, the ship of the dead, Naglfar, sails on the rising, poisonous tides of the Midgard Serpent. It is a grotesque vessel, a ship of pure decay, made entirely of the fingernails and toenails of the dead. You can see the countless souls of the dishonoured, the cowards, and the damn packed onto its deck, their faces pale and their eyes empty. They are an army of puppets, animated by the bitter vengeance of their leader, Loki. He stands at the helm, his face a mask of cold triumph, his eyes burning with a venomous light. He is no longer the trickster god of old. He is a force of pure, unadulterated chaos, a living engine of destruction. And there, in the centre of the battlefield, waiting for its chance to strike, is Fenrir, the great wolf. He is a mountain of muscle and rage, his fur a matted black, and his eyes burning with a terrible, hungry fire. His jaws are wide open, a gaping maw that can swallow the sun. He is not a warrior with a plan, but a force of nature, an inevitable act of destruction that has been prophesied since the beginning of time. He is the ultimate predator, and his prey, the gods of Asgard, have finally presented themselves to him. There's a small, slightly humorous detail here that's often overlooked. Scholars debate whether the ship Naglfar was a literal ship or a metaphor for the collective decay of humanity's spirit. A fun, Light-hearted thoughts imagine the god's health and safety review of this plan. Okay, so your army is made of fingernails. Are there any splinters? Do you have an adequate number of lifeboats? The gods of Asgard stand united, but you can feel their dread. This is not a battle for victory. It is a battle for honour. Odin, the All-Father, stands at the head of his army, his single eye scanning the horizon for his fated enemy. He knows he will fall to Fenrir, but he will not turn back. Thor, the god of thunder, grips his mighty hammer. Mjolnir, his eyes filled with a righteous fury, he knows he will fall to Jormungandr, but he will not turn back. Freyr, the god of peace, stands with a stag's horn, a pathetic weapon for a final battle, but he will not turn back. His is a tragic and beautiful end, a final act of love and sacrifice. As the two armies meet on the field of Vigridr, the air is filled with the sounds of battle, the clash of steel, the roar of giants, the howling of wolves, and the terrifying whispers of the dead. The sky, already dark, seems to darken even further, as if the very heavens are mourning the end of all things. The battle is a maelstrom of chaos, a chaotic dance of death and destruction. This is a key moment, and historians still debate the true nature of this battle. Was it a physical battle, a clash of steel and magic, or was it a more esoteric, spiritual conflict, a final battle between order and chaos, between creation and destruction? It's a fascinating question. Was Ragnarök the end of the world, or was it the end of a certain kind of world? The first to fall is not a god, but a giant. It is a giant who falls to a god, and in this moment you can feel the last. Dying embers of hope flicker and die. This is not a battle of heroes and villains, it is a battle of fate and destiny. A terrible, final dance towards oblivion, and you, a silent observer, can only watch as the curtain falls on the gods of Asgard and the world as you know it. The air on Vigridr is no longer silent. It's a maelstrom of sound, the thunderous footsteps of giants, the howling of Fenrir, the war cries of gods and the whispers of the dead. You are a silent ghost, a witness to a final, tragic ballet of destruction. The two armies have met, and the battlefield is a chaotic blur of motion and power. This isn't the clean, heroic battle of sagas and legends. It's a brutal, messy, and desperate free-for-all, a last stand against an impossible tide of fate. The first major clash is not a surprise. It's between Odin and Fenrir. The All-Father, the greatest of the gods, charges forward on his 8-legged horse. Sleipnir, his golden helmet gleams, his spear Gungnir held high, a beacon of defiance in the profound darkness. He is a king, a father, a warrior, and he knows his destiny. He knows he will fall to the wolf, but he will not turn back. He fights with a ferocity born of desperation and courage. A final, magnificent act of defiance against a fate he cannot change. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, is a living engine of destruction. He is not a warrior with a plan. He is a force of nature, a mountain of muscle and rage. His jaws are wide open, a gaping maw that can swallow the sun itself. He is pure, unadulterated hunger, and his prey is the All-Father. He lunges at Odin, a terrifying blur of fur and teeth. The battle is short and brutal. Odin, with all his wisdom and power, is no match for the wolf's primal fury. He fights bravely, but the prophecy is a chain that can't be broken. With a final, terrible roar, Fenrir swallows the All-Father whole, bringing an end to the greatest of the gods. You feel a profound sense of emptiness at this moment. The All-Father is gone. The heart of the gods has stopped beating. It's a symbolic as well as a literal death, a sign that the old order is truly and irrevocably ending. But the battle rages on. Meanwhile, Thor, the god of thunder, is locked in a desperate final duel with his ancient nemesis, the Midgard Serpent, Jormungandr. This is a personal battle, a grudge match that has been brewing for 1,000 years. The serpent has risen from the depths, its immense body coiling around the battlefield, its poisonous breath a terrible weapon that kills everything it touches. Thor, with his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, stands alone against the monstrous serpent, his face a mask of righteous fury. He is the strongest of the gods, a brawler, a warrior, and he will not yield. He swings his hammer with all his strength, a force so powerful it can shatter mountains. The blows connect, and the serpent roars in pain, its massive body thrashing and coiling. Thor is relentless. His rage and power is a match for the serpent's size and venom. He strikes the final, killing blow, and the serpent falls, its body convulsing in a final death throe. Thor has won, but the victory is short-lived. The serpent's poisonous breath, a terrible weapon of destruction, has already infected Thor. You see him stagger, his face pale, the strength draining from his body. He takes 9 steps, a final, weary, heroic march before he falls, dead from the serpent's venom. The greatest warrior of the gods has fallen, and his hammer, Mjolnir, lies silent on the ground, a symbol of a power that is now gone forever. Another major confrontation is also taking place. Freya, the god of peace and fertility, is fighting against the fire giant Surtur. Freya is a tragic figure in this battle. He gave away his magical sword to win the hand of the giantess Gerda, and now he is armed with only a simple stag's horn. It's a testament to his love, but a fatal flaw in a battle for survival. Surtur, the fire giant, is a force of pure destruction, a living inferno. He wields a sword of pure fire, a blade so bright it casts dancing, fiery shadows on the perpetual darkness. Freya fights bravely, but he is no match for Surtur's flaming sword. He falls, a god of peace and life dying at the hands of a force of pure destruction. It's a sad and ironic death, a final, beautiful tragedy in a world of chaos. There is a minor but fascinating detail that historians still debate. Was Freya's sacrifice of his sword a tragic mistake, or a noble act? Some scholars argue that it was an act of love, a beautiful gesture that was doomed from the start. Others argue that it was a foolish act, a sign of the gods' overconfidence and a fatal flaw that led to their ultimate demise. So, as you watch, the major gods of Asgard, the very pillars of the old world, are falling one by one. The All-Father, the god of wisdom and power, is swallowed by the wolf. The god of thunder, the greatest warrior, is killed by the venom of his ancient enemy. The god of peace, the giver of life, is killed by the fear of destruction. The old order is truly and irrevocably gone. All that's left now is the final, fiery conclusion of Ragnarök. The battlefield of Vigridr is a scene of utter devastation. The great gods of Asgard have fallen, their deaths leaving a profound and terrifying silence in their wake. Odin, Thor, Freya, the pillars of the old world, are gone. Their deaths were not just the end of lives, but the end of an era, a final, definitive period at the end of a long tragic story. But the battle is not over. The forces of chaos are still at large, and they have one final, terrible act to perform. With the gods of Asgard defeated, the stage is set for the final act of Ragnarök. Loki, with his army of the dead and the fire giants of Surtur, now has free reign. He is no longer fighting against the gods, he is fighting against the world itself. This is not a battle for a throne or a kingdom, it is a battle for the end of all things. From his place at the helm of the ship of the dead, Naglfar, Loki directs his forces. The fire giants, led by Surtur, are a terrible sight. They are a living inferno, their bodies wreathed in flames, their swords of fire burning with an unholy light. They are not just warriors, they are a force of pure, elemental destruction. They march across the battlefield, and everything they touch turns to ash. The frozen earth of Vigridr, which was once a place of silence and desolation, is now a raging inferno. The fires of Surtur consume everything, turning the world into a vast fiery wasteland. This is the ultimate, terrible paradox of Ragnarök. The world was plunged into a perpetual winter, Fimbulvetr, only to be cleansed by the ultimate fire. It's a cruel and poetic symmetry, a final, ironic joke played by the cosmos itself, a fun, light-hearted observation. Is a bit like a cosmic fire and ice challenge, except no one wins and everyone dies. As the fires of Surtur consume the world, you can feel the pain of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Its roots, which have held the 9 realms together for so long, are now burning. Its branches, which once held the worlds in a gentle, nurturing embrace, are now on fire. The tree groans and shudders. A living thing in its death arose. This is not just the death of a tree, it is the death of the cosmos, the unmaking of reality itself. The fire is not just a physical thing, it is a spiritual one. It burns away not just the physical world, but the very memories and histories of the old world. It is a cleansing fire, a final act of purification that leaves nothing but a scorched, empty land behind. You can see the images of the old gods, of the old world, flickering and fading in the flames, like old photographs being burned in a fire. There's a small detail that historians still debate. Was Surtur's fire an act of pure destruction, or was it a necessary evil? Some scholars argue that it was a divine act of purification, a necessary step to cleanse the old world of its sins and make way for a new one. Others argue that it was an act of pure, unadulterated evil, a terrible act of vengeance that had no purpose but to destroy. As the fires rage, Loki, the god of mischief, finally meets his end, the son of Odin. Vidar, a young god of vengeance, steps forward to face him. He is a silent and powerful god, and he wears a shoe that has been crafted from all the leather scraps and shoemaker trimmings that have ever existed. With this shoe, he tears open the jaw of Fenrir, the wolf that killed his father, and with a single, powerful blow, he kills the beast, with the wolf dead. He then turns his attention to Loki, and in a final, terrible duel, he avenges the gods. It's a small victory, a final, heroic act in a world that is already gone. But the death of Loki and Fenrir is not the end of the fire. Surtur, the fire giant, continues his work, burning the world to ashes. He is a force of nature, a being of pure destruction, and he will not stop until his work is done. You feel the heat of the fire, the intense, consuming heat of a world being unmade, and then there is nothing but a scorched, empty land, a world of ash and fire, a place where life and light once were, but are now gone forever. The prophecy is complete, the gods have fallen, the world has burned, and the great cosmic cycle of life and death has finally come to an end. All that's left now is a silent, empty canvas, waiting for a new artist to paint a new world. The silence is profound now, a thick, heavy blanket that has fallen over the cosmos. There is nothing left. No stars, no sun, no moon, just a vast empty void where the universe once was. The fires of Surtur have consumed everything, leaving behind a world of ash and cinder, a cold, empty canvas waiting for a new artist to paint a new world. The prophecy of Ragnarök, the end of all things, is complete. But this is not the end of the story. From the ashes of the old world, a new world will emerge. This is the final, hopeful twist in the saga. The beautiful and tragic symmetry of the cosmic cycle of life and death. You, a silent observer, are witness to the first, tentative stirrings of this new beginning. You feel a profound, subtle warmth, not the fiery, destructive heat of Surtur's flames, but a soft, gentle warmth, like the first rays of a new sun. It's a warmth that signals new life, a new beginning, a new hope. And then you see them, 2 figures, a man and a woman, emerging from the ashes. They are the survivors of the old world, a new Adam and Eve for a new beginning. Their names are Lif and Lifthrasir, and they have survived the end of the world by hiding in the forest of Hodmimisholt, a place that was untouched by the fires of Sud. They are not gods, but they are not mortal either. They are a new kind of being, a new beginning for humanity. They are beautiful, strong, and full of a quiet, profound hope. They emerge into a world that is not a scorched wasteland, but a new, green, and vibrant place. The prophecy of Ragnarök was a cleansing fire, a necessary evil that burned away the old world to make way for a new one, and they are not alone. From the heavens, a new sun and a new moon, the daughters of the old sun and moon, have emerged. They are beautiful and bright, and their light is a new, hopeful light that casts a gentle, golden glow on the new world. The gods may be gone, but their legacy lives on in the new sun and moon, a symbol of hope and rebirth. There's a fascinating detail here that historians still debate. Was the end of the world a necessary act? A tragic but ultimately positive event? Some scholars argue that Ragnarök was a necessary act of cosmic purification, a way for the universe to cleanse itself of the old gods and their flawed, chaotic world. The new world, they argue, is a better, more peaceful, and more perfect place. You also see a new generation of gods emerging from the ashes of the old. Two of Odin's sons, Vidar and Vali, have survived. They are gods of vengeance and justice, a new kind of god for a new kind of world. Thor's two sons, Modi and Magni, have also survived, and they now possess their father's mighty hammer, Mjolnir. They are a new generation of warriors, a new hope for a new world, and Balder, the god of light and purity, and his wife Nanna, who were killed before Ragnarök began, have returned from the underworld. They are a symbol of rebirth, of the return of light and hope to the world. This is a beautiful and poetic ending, a final, hopeful twist in a story of tragedy and destruction. The old world may be gone, but a new one has emerged from its ashes. The gods may have fallen, but a new generation of gods and a new kind of humanity has survived. The cosmic cycle of life and death has been completed, and a new one has begun. This is the end of the story of Ragnarök, but it is not the end of life. It is a story of destruction and rebirth, of tragedy and hope. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a new beginning, a small, slightly silly observation. This new world is probably a lot quieter without all the giants and gods yelling all the time. It's a good thing, really. The new world is a silent, beautiful thing. The air is fresh and clean, the water is pure, and the land is a vibrant, verdant green. There is no trace of the old world, no memory of the chaos, the fire, the hatred. It is a new beginning, a fresh canvas for a new story. You, a silent observer, are a ghost in this new world, a memory of a time that is now gone forever. But you can feel the quiet, profound hope that hangs in the air, the sense of a new, more peaceful time. Leif and Lifthrasir, the survivors of Ragnarök, are the new Adam and Eve. They are a new kind of humanity, a humanity that has learned from the mistakes of the old world. They are not burdened by the sins of their fathers, by the ancient rivalries and prophecies that led to the end of all things. They are a new beginning, a clean slate. They walk the new earth, their faces full of wonder and awe at the beauty of this new world. They are the future, and they are a beautiful, hopeful sight. Above them, a new sun and a new moon shine brightly. Their light a gentle, golden glow that bathes the new world in a soft, warm light. The old sun and moon, the ones who were chased and devoured by the wolves, are gone, but their legacy lives on in their daughters, a new generation of celestial beings who bring a new, more peaceful light to the world. Their light is a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a new beginning, and in this new world, a new generation of gods has emerged. Vidar and Vali, the sons of Odin, are now the new leaders of the gods. They are gods of vengeance and justice, but their purpose is not to punish, but to protect. They have learned from the mistakes of their father, from the arrogance and pride that led to the downfall of the old gods. They are a new kind of god, a more humble and more just kind of god. They are the new order, a new hope for a new world. Modi and Magni, the sons of Thor, now wield their father's mighty hammer. Mjolnir, the hammer, once a symbol of brute force and power, is now a symbol of protection and justice. They are not their father. They are a new kind of warrior, a new hope for a new world. And Balder, the god of light and purity, has returned from the underworld with his wife Nanna. They are a symbol of rebirth, of the return of light and hope to the world. They are a beautiful and poetic symbol of a new beginning. There's a fascinating detail that historians still debate. Was the new world a better place? Some scholars argue that it was. They argue that the old world was flawed, that it was a world of chaos and violence, a world that was destined to fail. The new world, they argue, is a more peaceful and more perfect place. It's a world without giants, without monsters, without the ancient rivalries and hatreds that led to the end of all things. It's a world of peace, a world of hope, a world of new beginnings. This is the end of the story of Ragnarök. It is a story of destruction and rebirth, of tragedy and hope. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a new beginning. It is a story that reminds us that even when all seems lost, there is always a chance for a new, more beautiful world to emerge from the ashes. It's a story that tells us that the end is not the end, but a new beginning. The world is a silent, beautiful place now, a canvas waiting for a new story to be told. The old stories are gone, the old gods are dead, and the old world is no more. All that's left is a silent, beautiful new world, a world of peace, a world of hope, a world of new beginnings. It's a world that is waiting for you to tell its story. Tonight, we journeyed through a forgotten world, a universe destroyed by its fated destiny. Take a deep breath, and feel the peace of this new world. No more roars from monsters, no more clashing of swords. There is only the quiet of a new beginning. Let the images of volcanoes and battling gods fade away. Think about a fresh world, peaceful and full of hope. Destruction isn't the end, but the start of a new chapter. The future always waits ahead, bringing with it hope and new stories.